Welcome to Adam Does Movies Live, Friday the 15th. Is it the 15th already? Yeah, we are just weeks away from a brand new year, folks. And what a year it's been. What a celebration it has become these last few months. This is kind of cool. I am streaming 3 different places right now, not only on YouTube, but also Twitch and Instagram at Adam Does Movies with a dumb little underscore at the end because someone else owns Adam Does Movies. And Instagram has no sort of policy at all to get that account back, even though it's not been active on that dude's Instagram for many, many years. That's kind of fun. But yeah, so I'm actually live streaming there. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm just trying it out because it's a feature that StreamYard is throwing into the mix. So Adam Does Streaming is really what it comes down to. Hopefully we do it okay. Today's show is going to be one that, of course, like all shows, come with caveats. It's my top 5 biggest disappointments / success stories, I guess, or surprises, I guess is what I called it. Biggest disappointments and surprises, meaning these are not movies that are probably, you know what? I can look. Let me look really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Most of these are not going to be on my top 10 movies of 2023 or my top 10 worst movies of 2023. This is a different bucket. These are movies that I was really excited for and they let me down. Or I had no expectations and they rose above them. It doesn't have to be my much. I looked back on the year as a whole and I thought, you know what, this movie, for instance, something like Air, I think that came out in 2023. I really liked Air. I imagined I would like Air. That doesn't belong on the list. The Boys in the Boat, which I just reviewed today, I figured I'd like it. I liked it. It's not on the list. Something like, well, we'll get into it. I don't want to, give away the whole game here. Couple housekeeping notes before we jump in. Number 1, if I sound tired or look like shit, it's because I am tired and, in fact, look like shit. I was up till 2 a.m. this morning talking about Batman Returns with Tony from Hack the Movies. If you want to listen to that podcast / I don't even know what he calls them, commentary track, you can get that at his Patreon at Hack the Movies at the $5 tier and up. Or you can just slow your roll and wait a day because I'm also putting it on my Patreon account at Adam Does Movies. If you're a YouTube Join member here at $5 or up, I'll figure something out. I think I can probably share the link with you via Discord if you are in the gold membership lounge or something. I don't know. I'm working it out. Tony threw this at me and he's like, hey, every month I do these commentary tracks. I'm running behind. You want to join me for Batman Returns? I said, hell yeah. And then I threw it out to him. I'm like, listen, can I use this on my Patreon? And he said, of course. Absolutely, you can, friend. And I said, thank you, Tony. And I think what's going to happen in the new year, and if you know me, you know I like to make promises and break them, but this was a lot of fun and it was easy to do, to just sit for 2 hours and talk about a movie from front to back. I want to do that monthly for my Patreon members. And so look for that in 2024. But in the meantime, I will have this one up there hopefully by tomorrow for $5 members and up. Okay, another piece of housekeeping news. 2 movie reviews went up today. In one day, 2 reviews. It's unheard of. No one's ever done it before in the history of YouTube. I have one for Wonka, and I have one for The Boys in the Boat. Boys in the Boat's not out yet. I went to one of those Monday mystery showings for Regal. It's not because I'm special. Anyone can go to these. It wasn't a red carpet affair. I go to them. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're bad. So that review's up. Lastly, no, I have 2 more things. Second to lastly, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie roast will be up tomorrow if everything goes well. I still have to edit the sucker. It's going to take me 3 or 4 hours probably, but it's going to be damn funny. Some people join me for the roast on Twitch at twitch.tv/AdamDoesMovies. We went through Rudolph together. We watched it together and took a bunch of notes. I had 9 pages of jokes. We'll see which ones make the cut. Either way, it was a good time. I'm excited to see that one play out. I have a Frosty roast on the channel right now. Brian Davis, not happy with me. He actually super chatted. Let me see if I can bring that up. Shot out of a cannon, Brian Davis for $5 says, "You are always a good sport and hilarious. Hell of a year for you. You battle Godzilla all you want, but Frosty the Snowman is a line in the sand." Really, he's a line in the snow, Brian. Brian's been leaving me nasty messages on all my socials this whole week. It's been a very dangerous game he's playing, but I respect him for it. I appreciate him, drawing that line in the snow and saying, "Hey, Adam, don't shit where you pee," or something. don't shit where you eat, I think is the expression. Don't shit where you pee. Actually, you probably should. You probably should do both things in the same spot. Lastly, tonight, after the stream, which will probably last another 50 minutes, maybe not even that long. I don't know how long I'll spend on this. I'll be going on Twitch separately when this stream ends. And I will be playing a game that I think everybody's been excited for me to play. And that's Disney Speedstorm. It's a Mario Kart-esque racing game with loot boxes. And I'm freaking addicted to this casino nightmare. I love it. I am doing it every morning for an hour. Well, maybe not every morning, but I try to get in my 15 to 20 minutes a day where I get to unlock some characters and stat up some characters. It's incredibly pointless, but so is my life. And now it's dedicated to Speedstorm. If you want to watch me, I'll be doing that for like an hour on Twitch. And the only reason I'm playing that tonight is because the new course unlocked today, the new chapter. It's like Fortnite. There's chapters, and I want to drive it out. And so I'll be doing that. That's an expression I came up with, drive it out. We are finally ready for the main event. You know what's weird is Super Chats are not showing up in the separate tab like they used to, and I don't like that. Why are Super Chats not showing up separately? Is it because Instagram is being annoying? Well, that's disappointing, but they'll get that figured out. Main event time. We are going to be talking about the 5 most disappointing movies. Again, not the worst movies, just the most disappointing for me personally. I'm going to take a drink of my Coca-Cola Classic from Chipotle. I was there with the family. Let's begin. And I mentioned Super Chats. Super Chats are always welcome. It's the lifeblood of these streams at this point. Let me add it. Here we are. Yeah. Where is this? I see it showing up, but where is it? Oh, here we go. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Shidia this is one of the few movies that will actually be on my worst of the year list. Spoiler, this makes the top 10 worst of the year. I did, believe it or not, have decent expectations for this film. We had this supposed new conqueror, the new big bad of the MCU that was going to take over where Thanos left off. Kong or Kang or Krang from the Ninja Turtles. I can't remember his name. I think it's Kang the Conqueror. Obviously, the actor's fallen into some pretty sticky situations with his personal affairs. I'm not too interested in any of that personally. I just want to know if he's going to be back in these movies. Or better yet, he's not going to be back in these movies because Ant-Man sucked. Ant-Man 3 was just a CG nightmare. Kang is defeated by a school of ants. I'm not an army of ants, I guess is what they're called. I should have maybe taken more schooling so I would know that right out of the gates. And I just found the whole thing to be just a total shit show. Very colorful. It was trying to do the Thor Ragnarok and failing miserably. Paul Rudd's the only saving grace, but even he does not belong in a movie this serious for Ant-Man. The first two Ant-Man movies were fun. They were lighthearted, a lot of jokes. They were kind of like C tier, I thought, MCU movies. They got in, they got out. You had a decent time and you moved on. You know, this is the whole fast food mantra with a lot of these. They're not great movies. They get you filled up, though, and you walk away unscathed. This one hurt. Not only was the movie just a nightmare from a story standpoint, I thought Casey Lang was just the worst. I liked both previous iterations of the character, the adult Casey, the little girl. Is it Casey or Cassie? I think it's Cassie, actually. Who cares? Cassie Lang. We'll go back and forth with it just to be safe. One of them's got to be right. The third actress, who I only remember previously being in Detective Pikachu, who I also thought felt really out of place in Detective Pikachu. I don't know what movie she's acting in. She's probably a very lovely person. Not here, though. Did not work for me at all. The dumb comedy with the giant MODOK, or again, I don't know all these nerdy, these comic book names of characters. It doesn't matter to me. I just want a decent story, some excellent action, and something that's not just fully green screened 24/7. This did not deliver. Before I move on, let's see what we got here. Daniel Fa from the top of the rope became a YouTube member. Thank you, Daniel. Or maybe I'll call you Dan if we're on that same wavelength. I appreciate it, sir. Very awesome. You too can become a member by just hitting that YouTube join button. It's really easy. It's right there. It'd be a great Christmas gift. Oh, this one hurts. This one hurts. Next up on my list, The Killer. David Fincher film, a Netflix joint that had a select release in theaters, I believe these Netflix movies are. I know that Zack Snyder, Lord Zack Snyder's new film is in select theaters right now. I looked. It's not playing at the Regal by me. I'm out of luck. I would have loved to go to that movie in the theaters because right now I think it's settled around 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. I always think it's hilarious when the initial batch of reviews come in. This happened with some other prominent films you may recall earlier in this month, but there'll be like 9 reviews out. And so it was sitting at 9% for a while. And everyone's like, oh my God, this movie's dumpster fire. Zack Snyder's the worst director in the world. It's getting destroyed by critics. It was like 9 critics. You got to get the pool a lot bigger in order to really gauge where people really stand at the end of the day and say, okay, well, we have 200 critics that are saying this movie is better than it is worse. It's at 90%. Now we can talk. Or, okay, 300 critics think this movie is 9% good, or 9% of the people thought it was okay. That's not good. Regardless, I'm not really thinking this movie looks all that great, but we'll see what Snyder does. We'll see. I just couldn't get to it. So I think it comes out on streaming platforms in a week. I think it's on the 23rd or something. Don't quote me, but I think it might be sooner even. It might just be 5 days from now. See, on 2020. I mean, that's almost 23. Okay. The Killer, back on task. I just don't want Fincher on Netflix anymore. I feel like Netflix is hurting him or something. That's my excuse. His last movie, Mank, I didn't even bother watching, which kills me because Fincher was one of my favorite directors, just full stop. Top 5 for me, with beautiful films, lovely cinematography, great acting, just all around awesome films like Social Network and The Game and Fight Club and Panic Room and Seven. And the guy didn't miss, except for Benjamin Button, I guess. Here, though, this was such a lame film. I don't outright call it bad. I don't think I put a official score on Rotten Tomatoes because I couldn't decide if I hated it or I liked it. I certainly didn't love it, and I was certainly very disappointed with it. And if it wasn't Fincher, I'll wear my Fincher bias right here on my vest. I probably wouldn't have bothered giving this movie a chance. and I probably would have checked out of it halfway through. But I thought, in Fincher, we trust. Let's see where he takes it. And unfortunately, didn't take it very far. Oh, interesting. Super chats are actually showing up now in the other tab. I think Brian put his out before the stream went live, so it was just not showing up in that. Okay, we're okay. We're all right. All right, The Killer, hugely disappointing. Oof, okay. We have The Boy and the Heron. Probably not going to be the movie that speaks to a lot of people watching this. It's an acquired taste. Studio Ghibli's an acquired taste for people. You know, I say Studio Ghibli, I get comments and negatives and hates and stuff all the time. Adam, it's Ghibli, you idiot. Listen, I've heard it both ways. I looked on Google, it's telling me one way. I look over here, it's telling me one way. Interviews are telling me something else. I say Ghibli because it sounds good to me, but we can go with Ghibli, which sounds kind of like giblets. That's not very sophisticated in my eyes, but Studio Ghibli, whatever you want to say. I'm a big fan of their work. The animation is incredibly lovely, but that's about it for this. The Boy and the Heron, I took my son and we were both very let down. People were sleeping in the theater. We had several couples leave during the movie. This is a movie people paid to go see. This wasn't like some special screening sort of free event. People were walking out of this movie. And of course, it's going to be interpretive. The film's sitting very high on Rotten Tomatoes. I have several movies on this list where I am in stark contrast with the overall critic reviews. But Boy and the Heron is in the upper 90s for percentage. And of course, just like with the Zack Snyder, I don't think there's a ton of reviews on this. Maybe it's pushing 100 and some. When you compare that to like Oppenheimer, which has 300 or 400 reviews, it's not quite as, concrete. But still, most people like this film. I found it very boring, tedious, a lot of different elements and symbolism that just didn't really seem to congeal into an emotional storyline that I could follow and to get engaged with. And my son certainly felt the same way. It just felt very alienating to audiences. And I know it's a personal love letter for the director, but for me, what am I supposed to do with that? Great. Whoopity-doo. I remember when I was on Rotten Tomatoes, they had some like versus debate show. And some guy was defending the last terrible Matrix movie, Matrix Abortions or whatever it's called. And he tries to go with the sympathy card. He says, listen, Adam, Lana Wachowski was she lost her father. She lost their parents recently. The Wachowskis lost their parents. And this story was really a love letter to their parents. It was a very personal, touching thing, which I replied, okay, cool. Listen, I lost my father at a young age, but I didn't go out and make a shitty movie script to cope with it. That's the difference between us. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. Anyway, yeah, The Boy and the Heron, not for me. Here we go. Back-to-back Japan. Let's get triggered about it. Godzilla minus fun, as I lovingly call it. Godzilla minus one, a drama, a deep dive into PTSD. Occasionally a giant dinosaur shows up and wrecks some stuff. People love this movie. It scored very high marks. Again, 120 some reviews. I'm one of like 4 negatives, wearing the badge of dishonor, the scarlet letter for not liking this film. I thought the trailers looked kick-ass. I was excited to go to this movie and nothing hit for me. And it bums me out. And it bums me out additionally, extra, because people in the comments thought that I was intentionally not liking a film for clicks or rage bait or something. There's way easier ways to get rage bait, and there's way easier targets to go after than obviously Godzilla, who clearly has a very passionate fan base behind him. Yeah, I didn't like it. It was slow. It was plotting. I thought the PTSD stuff overstayed its welcome very early on. There was no more conversation to be had about it. It's like, okay, I get it. Years have gone by. This guy is still upset. He's still grieving. He's still frustrated. Why do I have to keep sitting in this? I want to move on to an actual exciting storyline. I didn't want to keep dwelling on the drama. And that's the story they went with, and that's fine. But it wasn't paced right for me. And at the end of the day, that's really all I'm interested in saying. And I also thought the final act was a little silly for a movie that's priding itself on being grounded and more realistic, to give Godzilla essentially the bends in the last act by dropping him up and down in the water. Little weird. totally a little weird. But I'm not going to dwell on this. I just was bummed out. That's the bottom line. A lot of people love this film. I'm happy for them. I wish I was there. I truly do. I want to watch Shin Godzilla. I'm told that Shin Godzilla is maybe more my speed. The bottom line is, I'm just not that into Godzilla. I'm not that into you, apparently, but I want to be. I want this relationship to work. So every time I see a trailer for a new one, I think to myself, all right, this might be okay. I think I like what they're doing. Godzilla Minus One looked a lot to me like the American 2014 Bryan Cranston vehicle, which I also didn't like very much. I loved Bryan Cranston's character, but he's killed off, and we're instead focused on a really boring Aaron Taylor Johnson. And that's kind of where I was at with the Japanese one. I thought these are pretty much the same thing to me, both following very uninteresting characters who keep making bad choices, and it's just not a pleasure to watch. Yet that one got a pass, and the American one, I think, was kind of dismissed, or most people aren't really a big fan. That said, Shin Godzilla might be fun. I'm willing to sleep around and see how it goes, see how it feels. I'll try out Shin Godzilla at some point. Moving on. Dumb. Another disappointment for me. I'm one of the few sad people that thought to myself, you know what? Probably a badass idea. No, probably just a bad idea to have a young, spry, 80-year-old Harrison Ford dust off the old hat and whip and get back in the saddle for one last ride. I thought, maybe it'll work. Even though it makes no sense, and Indiana Jones has always been kind of the epitome of young, reckless, take life by the balls, go through caves, make out with chicks, do the whole thing. 80-year-old anyone doesn't have that same sort of it just doesn't make sense. But James Mangold being attached, the guy that did Logan, the guy that did Ford v Ferrari, I thought, well, rev my engines up. I'm ready. Yes, please. Of course, you then contrast that with Disney, who is also lying in the wings, ready to ruin everything that I used to like. And you have really a grab bag of ideas and a movie that's so ridiculously long for an Indiana Jones film, a movie that has this weird de-aging shit going on for the first 20 minutes, a movie that forces another female character that kind of like oversteps Indy in a lot of situations. It wasn't Indiana Jones the way I remembered him. I didn't want to see Harrison Ford in his boxers and a tank top yelling at the kids to keep the racket down. How the hell is that Indiana Jones? Stop deconstructing these characters. It's not interesting. Logan worked really well because Hugh Jackman's character was always moody and a bit of a prick. So seeing him grown up old man Logan, even more moody and more of a prick, and reflecting back on how terrible everything was, that makes sense. But Indy was a gruff, rough and tumble, jumping around, cracking one-liners, cracking his whip. He was ornery, sure. But there was a charm to it. And now he's just kind of like mean. And I also like how his buddy's here and he's like, one more ride and you give him hell. Can I go on the adventure? And Indy's like, no, I don't think so. You can stay back. Oh, it's good stuff. Yeah, Indiana Jones, I don't know if it's top 10 worst of the year, but it definitely top 5 most disappointing. Are we done with the disappointments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, here we go. This is the one that Godzilla fans have been waiting for. In my top 5 most surprising films of 2023, The Marvels, a movie that I absolutely loved. Yes. No. This is a film that I thought to myself, okay, this is where we make a lot of money on the channel because I can do like a 30-minute bitch fest about how god awful this movie's gonna be, how stupid the decisions are, how miserable the characters are. But instead, I watch it gleefully waiting to roast this thing. And instead, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, this is actually kind of fun. And I'm laughing at some of the dumb jokes, and the cats are cute and silly. And my kids would probably really like this film. And it's not very long, which is nice. And I just, there was nothing to really hate. And in fact, I found myself having a good time with it. And apparently in 2023, that is the worst thing you can do when you pay your own money to see a movie, to try to get some entertainment out of it. So, instead I put out, this is kind of goes back to Godzilla. People keep assuming the wrong things all the time, probably because they're so jaded fairly from all the other grifters out there who make a lot of money by being outraged over things or trying to get clicks and do all that. So, oh, yep, Adam's pretending to like the Marvels so he can get a bunch of views. That's not really how this game works on YouTube. YouTube has a very dedicated fan base of people that hate Brie Larson, and there is a good amount of money to mine from those hills still. They're still doing it every single week. And it's just way easier to sell a bunch of middle-aged dudes that this hot chick sucks. And a lot of views come from that. But I didn't think she sucked in this. And I didn't think the movie was bad. I actually thought it was all right. Not top 10 of the year for sure. Just all right. Like a decent Big Mac from McDonald's. It's a pretty shitty burger. But once in a while you get one, you're like, that was good. That was all right. Next up on the list, for biggest surprises. Want to play a game? We got Saw 10. Saw X gonna give it to you. Jigsaw's back in the mix. This time it's a prequel. And I'm so out of touch with Saw that I didn't know it was a prequel. And so I'm watching most of this movie thinking, wait, Jigsaw hasn't died of cancer yet? Didn't he get cancer in like the first movie? We're 10 movies deep. He should have been dead a long time ago. And then I thought, wait, I'm pretty sure he did die in like Saw 4 or 3, and the girl took over. And then it honestly never even clicked. I'm so dense about this franchise and so befuddled, so confused as to why you would call a prequel Saw 10. Why don't you call it Saw Begins or Jigsaw Begins? Maybe they already did that too. I don't know. I honestly walked away after 3 of these things because they got so bad. And the first one I didn't think was good, but that damn twist ending hit me hard. I was like, oh, okay, this movie just went from a D to a C. That was awesome. And I will watch that with people that don't know what's coming and just look at them, their faces as they're shocked. That's a good movie. That's good entertainment. And Saw 10 was pretty good entertainment. It felt more like a Taken film to me, where Jigsaw was kind of the anti-hero this time around. And he's like, I got a unique set of skills. So if you're going to screw with me, I'm going to screw with you. And he puts all these grifters into his own contraptions. That really worked out. I had a good time with it. Very pleasantly surprised. I thought this was going to be a hot mess. And now I'm kind of interested to see where they go with the series next. Tobin Bell, I think, is the actor's name. That guy's, he's no spring chicken, but he can still rock it. He can still rock those contraptions. What do we got next here? This is one that I put a review out for today. Take a look. Na, na, na. When I don't know words, which is usually all the time, I just kind of mumble and hum. Before I jump into it, we have Big Kahuna with a powerful right hook, $2 super chat. Enjoyed Marvels, Indie, loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Spider-Verse. I'm with you on 3 of those. Enjoyed Marvels, didn't care for Indie, loved Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, enjoyed Across the Spider-Verse. I think Across the Spider-Verse is maybe a bit overrated. I prefer Into the Spider-Verse, but it's still a good movie without an ending. Hopefully we'll get a good one when the next film comes out. Thank you, Big Kahuna. Wonka, directed by Paul King and produced. This is funny. I didn't know this when I made the review today. this was produced by the dude that produced the Harry Potter films, because I actually mentioned Harry Potter when I'm talking about this, because the look of the city and the clothing and stuff really is akin to the HP franchise. I don't think Wonka's near that level because I'm a big Potter fan, but it wasn't a bad movie. I went into this one just like I went into the Marvels and a few other films this year thinking, gonna be a hot pile of ass. This is gonna be a complete disaster. Don't know much about Timothée Chalamet. He was good in Dune. Haven't really seen him in much of anything else. Hasn't done anything to like wow me, but I stand corrected. I was wowed in a different way. He's no Gene Wilder, of course. That will always be my favorite. That's one I grew up with. Gene Wilder was just fantastic as that character, as Willy Wonka. But yeah, I like Charmaine, chocolate guy. He's good. He plays a very different type of performance. He's a gentler Willy Wonka, but he's full of whimsy. He's full of life. He's got a vision. He's got several more visions when other ones go wrong. This movie runs decently well. I think the first act is a little sluggish because we're introducing a lot of elements here that they're going to build upon, but they do build upon them very well. And hell, I mean, the fact that this film sold me on a musical with like 10 songs and a bunch of ragtag characters, I seriously thought, man, this is going to be a miserable experience to sit through. And I was wrong. It was perfectly pleasant. And I will watch it again with my family at some point when it hits streaming. That said, there was about 8 other people in the theater with me. They were all engaged except for the gentleman in the same row as I was. He was on the other end and he is completely passed out. About 30 minutes in, this guy loud snores for a full hour during the picture. An hour of loud snoring. I thankfully could block it for the most part because the movie's got a lot of music and it's louder. But during those quiet moments, it's like, Willy Wonka, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Let's come up with an idea, shall we? And yeah, so Fatty McGee over there is snoring his brains out, and I'm about ready to blow his brains out, but he wakes up startled. He looks around, and I think, okay, there's 35 minutes tops left in this film, and he gets up, clears his sinuses, and then he kind of stumbles out. Every day I'm shuffling. And he leaves. And I thought, okay, well, fair enough. He's got that stupid Regal pass, which means he's got a la carte access to as many movies as he wants a month. And he doesn't give a shit. These people live at this theater. My theater is a nightmare. I have 2 Regals within an hour of my house. One is about 25 minutes. The other is a full hour. That one's nicer, the Palmetto one, but still, it's a long drive, and it's still a grab bag. But this Regal Pass, which is so great for me, is also killing my theater experience because all these dipshits spend the whole day there, like Willy Wonka's, like factory tours going on. I got a golden ticket. And they go in and they just walk from theater to theater. And then they just sit down and sleep. And they bring in their grab bag of food. Anyway, this guy leaves. And I thought, all right, 35 minutes. But no. He didn't leave. He probably went to the bathroom, maybe rub one out quick. And then he goes to the concession stand. And he must have looked for a while because he's like, Willy Wonka. Excuse me, fine sir. Do those gobbers, do those impossible gobstoppers, do those come in a bag that crinkles and crankles and crunkles for freaking loud ass minutes at a time? No? Well, then give me that one over there. And he comes back in, he sits his fat ass down, and all I hear for 10 minutes is yeah. And I shit you not, I stopped watching the movie at this point. I just turn and look at him. He never once looks over at me, but I'm just sitting there waiting for him to look up once so I can go, the bag's open. The bag is fucking open. And he's just sitting here. I don't know what he even had in the bag. These people are crazy. For all I know, there was nothing in the bag. It was just a bag he was playing with. Like he's the freaking videographer from American Beauty. Oh, this plastic bag is so beautiful. Let me just crinkle and crankle it and crunkle it around. Hate people. Hate them! All right, Hack the Movies with a $5 super chat out of a cannon. Adam, have you heard any good commentary tracks lately? Oh, let me see if I can do Tony's voice. Adam, have you heard any good commentary tracks lately? And can you let us know where we can hear them? Spaghetti and other Italian things. Tony, thank you for the super chat. I already actually pimped out your channel at the beginning of this episode of this live stream. I said, hey, check out Patreon at Hack the Movies, and you can become a $5 tier member and get access to that commentary track, or you can wait a day and you can get it at my Patreon. But yeah, I did say Tony's great. We all love Tony here from Hack the Movies. Go subscribe to Tony. Tony. He was in one of those Batman movies as an extra in the background. He won't let anybody forget it. Sorry, Tony. I'm upset because I was thinking about the experience I had at Wonka with one of the 7 people that were in the theater. All right, we have 2 more on the list. Let's get to them. Willy Wonka. Let's boogie. That's the other one. That's the Tim Burton one. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, a film that I believe bombed at the box office. And I don't think it should have. I took my children to this film. My son Connor came to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, Sir, Daddy, Papa, can I please go to Dungeons and Dragons? I said, little child of mine, of course you can, because I'm so full of mirth and money, and all the super chats that have come my way over the year have really given me a lot of extra dough to take you out and go to Honor Among Thieves, Dungeons and Dragons. And then my daughter comes to me and she says, Sir, and she comes to me with tears in her eyes, Sir, can I please go to the film? And I said, no, you may not, because you are a girl, and girls are not welcome in the Regal Theater. Only the gentlemen, only the scholars. So my daughter dressed up as a boy, and she put little pepper on her face, they're like salt and pepper for a beard, and she put one of those bowler hats on. And I said, I don't know you, stranger. And she said, well, of course you don't, because I'm a stranger, but I'd like to join you for this movie. I hear it's a riveting good romp in the something. And I said, yes, of course, it is a riveting good romp in the something. Let's go. And I took this stranger, and it was my daughter. She revealed it halfway through. I have no idea where this story's going. Bottom line is we all liked the film quite a bit. We had a good time. We had a bunch of laughs. It was a jam. And it's sad that we'll probably never see these characters again. Chris Pine was great as the bard, playing his music. You have Michelle Rodriguez playing, Michelle Rodriguez, but she's busting skulls. Letty's out there, out of control. Just a lot of good stuff in the film. And I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy. I've never played the tabletop thing where you have an imagination and have friends. That's not for me. Who's got time for those things? No, but I had time for this, and I'm glad I did, because I thought it was going to be a hot, steaming pile of crap. It turns out that was just my opinion going in. So thank you, Honor Among Thieves. Hopefully we see you again in some shape or form. And last on my list, for the most shocking film of the year, no one will guess this in a cotillion years. And I'm not saying this is an amazing movie, but I was shocked that it was good. Skling! Gran Turismo. Does anybody remember this even? It came out this year. It was based on a PlayStation video game. I mean, it still is. It didn't lose that. Still based on the video game. I remember watching the trailers and thinking, wow, we have a 2-hour commercial for Gran Turismo, just what the doctor ordered. And it's a 2-hour commercial, and it is a 2-hour commercial about how great Sony is. And it's got all the, all the accoutrements, all the things you expect from a film with, what's that term? What's the term where they cross-promote, synergy. Film is full of synergy. You pick up the video game, you watch the movie, it all cohesively gels together as one big happy family of movie and game marrying together. But Gran Turismo was damn good. I felt things. It was emotional. I liked the lead character. I found it interesting. It wasn't just like, I'm a driver in Gran Turismo world. No, it was about a dude based on a true story who won a contest to actually race cars on behalf of Gran Turismo, the video game, and Sony and Nissan, I think, or whatever car company backed it. It was really good. And I'm impressed. And I actually want to watch that again because I think it's streaming now on Peacock or Hulu. It might be on the Cock. Might be able to stream it right on the Cock at home. I'm not sure. Granted, that app never works for me, so who knows? Ironically, I might not be able to actually watch Gran Turismo on the PlayStation 5 if it is on the Peacock because that app is broken on the PS5. That's my list. Gran Turismo just absolutely taking over in the driver's seat this year for most biggest shockingest, surprisingest, mostest film of the year of 2023. Let me quickly recap myself and see if any of these. So none of my big surprises are on my top 10 of the year. And one of my biggest disappointments is on the top 10 worst, and that's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Everything else is up for grabs, folks. I already have those lists prepped. I'm just waiting for the year to end because I've been kind of surprised by movies lately between The Boy in the Boat and Wonka, and there's been a couple other movies that I watched recently where I thought, well, shit, this could easily make my top 10 on one side or the other. So we better wait 2 more weeks before I put out a best and worst of 2023. Okay, I have said my piece. We went through this, I think, in a pretty timely, constructive way. If you have any super chat questions for me or thoughts, put them in now. I will waffle. I will wave my arms around. I will talk incessantly for a couple more minutes. And maybe a super chat will come in at that time. And if it doesn't, I will bid adieu. I will tip the hat. And I will say, listen, I'm going to be on Twitch at twitch.tv/AdamDoesMovies playing a game for children. I'm going to be playing a Mickey Mouse video game. This is Disney Speedstorm. This is the Frozen season. I am going to be driving as Elsa. I'm going to be driving as Olaf. I got Hans in the mix. I got Anna in the mix. And I feel good about it. 41-year-old adult man playing Frozen. I think I'm 41. I actually lost track of how old I am. We do have a super chat. I rambled enough. Daniel Fa for $2. Famous Tony and Adam, so good. Both male leads. Really, we are strong male leads. And for 2 people to be together on YouTube, it's about time. Speaking of that, thank you for bringing up strong male leads. I have to look at something really quick while I see if any more people shoot through a super chat. Okay, he is ignoring me right now. But from what I gather, the last I heard, I'm supposed to be going on Cody Leach's channel tomorrow at like 7 p.m. Eastern time, although it hasn't been officially official. But it's supposed to be Cody, Sean Chandler, and myself, a trio almost unheard of in today's state. I asked them, I said, Cody, Sean, can we legally do this? Can we have 3 grown middle-aged white dudes on a YouTube channel talking about movies at the same time? It seems like it's never been done before. It's never been done. I said, I know one black guy. I got a black friend that I could maybe get on here so we could just kind of be a little bit more progressive and maybe throw people off. But I don't think we'll need him. I think we'll do okay with just the 3 of us. If it happens, nothing's official right now. I threw out feelers here at 9:55 p.m. and I'm getting crickets right now. They have more of a life, I suppose, than I do, but I'll let you know. Check out the community Check out the community chab tomorrow. I said, check out the community tab tomorrow. And we'll see if anything shakes out. All right, I'm getting off. I don't know if this worked on Instagram. I did not even look to see if it was working. Why don't I check Instagram really quick and see if I'm actually streaming over there and if there's anybody watching? How do I even look to see if I'm on? Do I click on the icon up top? I truly have no idea how I can see if this is streaming on Instagram. It's going very well. Well, I guess I'll find out later. All right, thank you guys for watching. Hope you had a good time. Hope I wasn't too insulting with some of my picks. It's just an opinion, right? We all have them at the end of the day. They're like assholes. Everybody's got an opinion. Hopefully everybody has an asshole as well. Thank you. Maybe I'll see you in 10 minutes on Twitch. Take care.